Campers be camping, and campers will always camp. You know how it is. You're playing Call of Duty, you're having a good time, you're vibing, you're running around the map the way God intended, and boom, you're killed by somebody singing in a corner with an LSAT. And that's just the beginning. Camper-friendly guns are everywhere in Call of Duty, but we're going to start off with the LSAT in Black Ops 2. Now, you guys are going to have to get used to this because, mark my words, when the Black Ops 2 port comes out in a few days, there's going to be a lot of people sitting around holding this thing up to their eyeball, probably with a target finder equipped. And if you're a camper, this is probably one of the best tools you could ever ask for, because not only did it have 1,000,000 bullets loaded at a time, not only could it kill people in as few as 2 shots, but it also had basically no recoil and an optic that would let you spot people from across the map through smoke, put a big diamond on them, and make it impossible to avoid your wrath. And it was on a default class. Yeah, with a riot shield as your secondary. Because Treyarch are a bunch of jokers. I'm 1,000% convinced they were fully aware of how toxic this setup was when they were developing it, which is why they put it on a default class. I mean, it can't be coincidence, right? They totally knew how busted the LSAT target finder riot shield combo was when they were making the game. Now, this next one, if you use this thing, guess what? I am calling you a douchebag to your face. There's no way around it. I'm sorry. The 725 was completely busted when Modern Warfare 2019 came out, even after it was patched. I mean, it was the go-to weapon for corner campers and infinite claymore abusers. A double-barrel shotgun with ridiculous range, an insta-kill that was almost completely unavoidable, even if you backed up. And the fact that people kept using it after it was nerfed just shows you how busted it was and how much of a camping culture there was around it, because even after it stopped being the optimal camping weapon, campers still used it. They did. They couldn't stop pissing people off with this thing. It was too addicting for them. It's a problem. And I hope you guys had fun, because guess what? Nobody else did. And this next gun also created a lot of non-fun. Black Ops 4 had a pretty long time to kill. We all agree, right? Pretty smooth dynamic movement, right? Obviously, everybody was just spamming the Titan LMG without moving their feet. Not everyone, but a lot of people were, especially if they were playing that one specialist with the razor wire. I forgot his name, and whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. The Titan, way too easy to use. There was no drawbacks. Light, accurate, strong. There wasn't any situation where it was unviable or where it didn't kill quick enough to be competitive. It was a jack-of-all-trades kind of gun, which meant it was also the go-to weapon for people who wanted to sit in one place and not even try to get good at movement or learn the various routes on the maps. Just sit in a power position, find it, hold the Titan up to your eyeball again, unload on anyone. The easiest way to get to the top of the leaderboard every single match, and it was very annoying. It's also one of the main reasons why I tapped out on Black Ops 4's multiplayer pretty early, although I'll admit, I used the Titan a lot in Blackout, but I wasn't necessarily camping. Now let's move over to a fan favorite, Call of Duty Ghost. I mean, Ghost was a campy game, right? But when you added the M27 to the mix, the M27 IAR that is, it basically became a painting hanging in a museum with how little people were moving. The M27 was very easy to use for an LMG. Had good stats, had good damage. It had a really quick reload animation for a gun this strong. Everything about it complemented the camper's lifestyle. And then if you want to be an extra large douchebag with fries on the side here, you just throw on the thermal side as well, so you could highlight all your enemies from across 1,000,000 yards away and erase them as if they were starting to have fun in this boring game. Look, Call of Duty Ghost was already a pretty boring experience, but if you genuinely camp with the M27, just know you were part of the reason why nobody liked this game back in the day or liked you. And yeah, I know there are some people who insist that we were too harsh on it, but no, we really weren't. The game was boring, and the M27 IAR was one of the most camper-friendly guns in the entire franchise, which just made the whole experience even more boring. Now, let's go to the second most popular Call of Duty game that we've had, Infinite Warfare. I think what made the MV4 camper so frustrating in this game was the fact that camping with this gun was the exact opposite of how this game was clearly supposed to be played. Infinity Ward put a lot of time. They did. They put a lot of time into designing the movement mechanics, making sure you had a lot of cool abilities and gadgets all at your disposal like Batman, and instead, a big portion of the community decided to sit in a corner with the starting assault rifle because guess what? That's easy mode. Also, arguably the most consistent way to play the game too. In a game with such complex and dynamic movement, why not just sit somewhere and think about the advanced movement if you had a gun, or don't think about it. I mean, if you had a gun that was this good, it was easy to use. It's not a dignified way to play, but are we really dignified here? If you're one of the 10 people who actually played Infinite Warfare, I'm sorry. You know that players like this were all over the place because it was so easy. It was too consistent. But I've also been thinking, I do that a lot. Should we try to coordinate an Infinite Warfare revival? Do you think that would snap Activision out of their behavior if all of a sudden freaking Infinite Warfare became the most played Call of Duty game on the market? You think? I mean, something to talk about. Also, That brings us to a Call of Duty game you literally can't play anymore, which is sad because I love this game. And I may not have been much of a sniper, but I like this rifle. I'm talking about the HDR in Warzone 2020. Made its debut in Modern Warfare 2019, where it was a very heavy, very high-powered bolt-action rifle that would keep you slow and steady, but also reward you for hitting your shots with extreme damage. Now in standard multiplayer, the HDR was virtually always a one-shot kill. Warzone, it was the go-to weapon for people who just want to sit on a rooftop and take pot shots at somebody 300 or 400 yards away. And yeah, it's fun. It's satisfying to land a headshot from across an entire POI with this weapon, but was it dignified? To just get up on the highest rooftop you could find, hold down the left trigger for 10 minutes, and occasionally fire shots at someone who walked onto your screen? If you were sniping in Warzone, you wanted to be respected, you're probably running the CAR, the SBR, heck, even the AX50. But if you're using the HDR in classic Warzone, you were hard scoping on a rooftop, which is also known as camping. When the HDR was brought back in Warzone 2, the community was a little more aggressive with it because of how much faster the movement in the game was. But in classic Warzone, hard scoper's dream. Now, I know I was talking about how the LSAT was the go-to camping weapon in Black Ops 2, right? It was popular. There was a lot of people who had a different strategy, though. Some people decided to camp with the Remington, the shotgun, usually with a riot shield on their back for extra protection. Let me tell you, this was even more frustrating than the LSAT campers to me, because at least the LSAT couldn't insta-kill you. But the Remington could delete you with a single shot from a really intimidating distance, and even if you managed to figure out where the camper was, there was always a chance they were just going to counter your shot with their own riot shield and blow you away. The target finder LSAT may have hogged all the camper glory, but the Remington was a freak of nature on its own. It was perfectly dignified to use this gun aggressively and run around the map like a normal person, but be warned, once the Black Ops 2 port hits PS4 and PS5, there will be people reviving the Remington Riot Shield strat, and it's going to be annoying. It's going to piss you off. Speaking of being pissed off, one of the most blatantly overpowered guns of all time, the Modern Warfare Remastered version of the M16. Step above the classic COD 4 version because we had improved connection and higher average skill in the COD community. So why would you use anything else? Why would you move around? I mean, the M16 was a near insta-kill from literally every distance, so why would you ever run around and play aggressive when you could just find a window or vantage point somewhere and delete everyone you see? COD 4 version of the M16 was frustrating to go up against, yes. But at least people had some dignity back then when they used it. Yes, I'm using the word dignified and dignity a lot today. But in MWR, after a decade of everyone trying to get to the top of the leaderboard by any means necessary, crawling and scratching, the community was all in on abusing this thing's power. That meant a lot of people were refusing to come out of their caves while holding it up to their eyeballs and instantly killing anyone who tried to challenge them. Thank you for ruining what should have been a fantastic remaster. Now, a lot of you know how I feel about this game. World War II, that's what I'm talking about. COD World War II. You guys know it wasn't my cup of tea. You guys know I didn't like how streamlined it was and how much customization was taken away. But here's another thing that I didn't like. It had the name of Lewis, one of the best guns in the game and the go-to weapon for people just trying to rack up easy kills without having to come outside and actually face anybody in a gunfight. Phenomenal damage, easy to control, lots of ammo, literally no reason to ever jump into a fight if you were using it. Just find a chest-high wall somewhere, hold it up to your eye, and go to town. There's this really weird trend of ultra easy to use LMGs during the mid to late 2010s in Call of Duty, but the Lewis might have been the most obnoxious one because of how limited the movement in COD World War II was and how straightforward the map design was, which meant the Lewis campers had an even easier time picking people off because what were you even supposed to do? I mean, at the very least, I guess it couldn't blow you up without even looking at you, which was unfortunately something this last gun could do, which is why it's the best camping weapon of all time. Segue, that was a smooth segue. Yes, I know it's not a gun, but everyone who played Modern Warfare 2 back in the day knows it deserves to be on the top of the list. Noob tubes. There's an entire culture around learning the cross-map noob tube spots on every map. So you just go to the spot, fire your noobs, your tubes, resupply with one-man army, and do it over and over and over again until you either got a nuke or the game ended or you just decided that you weren't a good person. People would literally go to the cross-map spot and never turn their character for the rest of the match. They wouldn't even try to look at the enemy team. They were just firing noob tubes at a specific spot without moving their feet. And the extra frustrating part, they were getting nukes pretty consistently. The Modern Warfare 2 noob tube was the ultimate camper's weapon. In Call of Duty, I mean, it was. Literally inspired people to learn pixel-perfect camping spots that they could all rush to as soon as the match started, and there was no getting them out of it once they were there. Absolutely stupid, super frustrating, totally skillless, but it's part of COD history. Hope you have a good day. I got worked up.